Renewable energy projects in Vermont have often been divisive. They have pitted local communities seen as hosts for solar arrays or wind turbines against the broader state interest in upping the amount of electricity produced from renewable sources. The state has set a goal of obtaining 90% of its energy from renewables by 2050, and a new statute passed earlier this year gives localities more influence on the approval of such sites and proposals. Jim Sullivan, the executive director of the Bennington County Regional Commission, stopped by last week for a meeting of the Manchester Conservation Commission to explain the new law and how it will change things.
Best I could do is characterize it, I guess, is that right now municipal and regional plans are given something in the way of due consideration. So they are supposed to look at those in the same way that they look at any other evidence that's presented as part of a Section 248 Certificate of Public Good proceeding. If the plans receive their determination of energy compliance and are elevated to this level of substantial deference, basically it says that any of the the conservation measures in those plans, which lands should be preserved or reserved in a way that would either be favorable or not favorable to renewable energy development, those plan provisions absolutely control, unless there is really compelling evidence that a greater statewide interest is served by finding counter to the plan. So it's not an absolute. It's not it's not a veto, the so-called veto, but it's probably about as close as you can get to a veto. Without it being an absolute. I think another thing that everybody would like for you to do, probably the regional plan anticipates it as well, is for you to even identify places where you would like development, renewable energy development to happen. And those places, if they're identified in your plan as so-called preferred locations, it could be a rooftop or an old gravel pit or a field that you think is an appropriate location, that the development that goes there actually gets kind of preferential treatment in the state program that awards contracts for preferred rates for electricity, if it's in a town identified location as being a preferred location. So hopefully you don't just say not there, not there, not there, but you say that would be actually where we would like to see it happen.
So I can't speak for the other members on this committee, for example, but I don't really have the necessary skill sets to evaluate this field is better or worse for solar power. Because I can say, gee, we like or don't like the idea of solar panels here, but I don't know all the infrastructure that goes along with it, transmission lines, roads.
In the short term, the Regional Commission is working on a plan to submit to the state's Public Service Board and expects to be able to offer more training to local officials later this year when that plan is approved. For the GNET TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever reporting from Manchester.